When you imagine a playground, chances are it looks something like this. There's usually a slide, a bridge, and a high point with a domed roof. That's what makes this a playground, and this, and this. But what about this? This isn't a junkyard. It's called an adventure playground. Here, there are no plastic play structures, just things like old tires, wood planks, and hammers and nails. Places like this represent one of the most debated ideas in play architecture, that playgrounds should be designed to let kids take more risks. Now, this nightmare for helicopter parents is the hottest new thing in American playgrounds, because there's growing evidence that play like this is a whole lot healthier and safer for kids.
Interesting.
They can play with very dangerous tools, they can take really dangerous risks and overcome them, and this builds up a tremendous sense of self-confidence in themselves, which is really quite fascinating to watch.
That's Marjorie Allen. She was a British landscape architect and children's welfare advocate around the middle of the century. In 1945, she visited Copenhagen, where she met an architect named Carl Theodor Sorensen. 2 years earlier, during the German occupation of Denmark, Sorensen noticed a problem. Kids in his neighborhood weren't using playgrounds. In fact, they were playing just about everywhere else, even in construction sites and bombed-out buildings. So in a housing development in the suburbs of Copenhagen, Sorensen closed off an empty lot and filled it with building materials, discarded objects, and tools. Here, kids could dig, build, and invent on their own. The play structures were ultimately designed by the kids themselves. Sorensen called it a junk playground, and kids and parents loved it. When she returned to England, Marjorie Allen started opening similar playgrounds all across London, and she renamed them from junk to adventure. From there, they became a global phenomenon. They spread to Minneapolis, Boston, Toronto, Tokyo, Houston, Berkeley, Berlin. And to create these playgrounds, designers had to introduce a critical element: controlled risk. In this context, a risk isn't the same thing as a hazard. When you're climbing a tall tree, a rotten branch is a hazard. The threat is unexpected. But how high you climb is a risk. It's manageable and requires you to actively make a decision. You can break the elements of controlled risk down into 6 categories: heights, speed, tools, dangerous elements, rough and tumble play, and the ability to disappear or become lost. And a good adventure playground includes a mix of these. Designers also focus on separation of space. To give kids the feeling of discovering things on their own, parents have to stay out. That can mean installing a physical barrier, or providing things like restrooms, cafes, and seating, so that parental experience isn't an afterthought. Finally, designers fill it with loose parts. These are the manipulatable objects, the planks, barrels, bricks, and tools that fuel risky play. The idea behind all these design elements is that kids respond well to being treated seriously. If they're presented with risky items with a serious functional purpose, they'll respond cautiously and conduct more experimentation. But if presented with an overly safe, static space, they often wind up seeking dangerous thrills that the
Wait a minute, hold up. So isn't it the concern that they can feel powerful and like threatening or something, and they're like, no, that's kind of how I was.
Presented with an overly safe, static space, they often wind up seeking dangerous thrills that the built environment fails to provide, which can result in higher injury rates than risky play at adventure playgrounds. In the US, a culture of lawsuit-proof playscape design means that overly safe playgrounds are the norm, and design philosophy is focused on how to reduce height, movement, and hard materials, and that hasn't made playgrounds better. When Marjorie Allen visited American playgrounds in 1965, she called them an administrator's heaven and a child's hell. But adventure playgrounds have recently begun to catch on in the US.
Perhaps I have a good story about this. It's a mini story. I was taking the risk because it was Boring Park of trying to slip through the bars, right? And like wiggle my way, in between bars like that. And I was doing that. I would always do that. And at some point I went into the park and I did that. And I dropped because it was from a height, but I was wearing a fucking helmet and I forgot, right? So I went through the bars, but my head wouldn't go through because my helmet was in there. And the helmet was like stuck into the bars, and I was fucking dying, dude. I was choking to death, man. And my mom saw me and she ran up, dude, and she saved me, but
perhaps due to an effort to introduce more unstructured
That's a good example
play.
of that.
And their construction comes with a fair share of criticism.
They're making kids play with hammers and nails. That's not adventure, it's just work. They're tricking kids into building their own playground.
Adventure playgrounds do have downsides. They're pretty ugly, they require a lot of space, and they need resources to staff and maintain. And as with any playground, there is an opportunity for injury. But the underlying philosophy of risky play can help kids live better lives. For one thing, riskier playgrounds encourage more activity. A study comparing playgrounds in London, where risky play spaces are popular, to those in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, found that children using London's playgrounds were up to 18% more physically active. The London playgrounds were cheaper and boasted fewer injuries too. And multiple studies have shown that children who engage in risky play have better risk detection, creativity, and self-esteem. The playground is one of the only kinds of architecture.
Do they mean by this is that if, let's say, some kid hurts himself with a nail or whatever, and like some nail like pierces its foot for a little bit, and they get a small injury, there's a lot of learning and conditioning and things like that goes with it, that it's actually healthy or some shit. And even the fact of seeing it without actually falling on it is also healthy.
Only kinds of architecture designed specifically for children. And if the standard model we've decided on is seen as boring by its users, that's a problem. Better design can fix that, even if it's a little risky.
I had to look through so many pictures of playgrounds for this story that I decided to use Wix to create a website collecting all of the ugliest and saddest pictures of playgrounds that I could find. And now I have a perfectly curated arrangement of pictures of playgrounds next to graveyards and slides leading into dumpsters and whatever these kid-friendly statues are. If you're looking for a simple way to share your passion about broken infrastructure or whatever it is that you're into these days, you should absolutely head to Wix. To create your own website just like this, click the link below. Wix does not directly impact our editorial, but their support makes videos like this possible. So, check them out.
Next.
This is a coupon for Burger King's croissant.
All parents should control what their kids
one.
play instead. The same games that are regulated under age restrictions are being played by kids because their parents still buy them. Loot boxes are gambling, but parents need to control their kids, not companies.
Free deal. Buy one breakfast sandwich at full price, get a second for no extra cost. But one customer found that something was off about the deal when she was charged 2 different prices for the sandwich. When she ordered a single sandwich, the price was $2.16. But when she ordered 2 sandwiches and used the BOGO coupon, the price of each sandwich was $3.19, more than $1 more. This went on for years before Burger King was sued for overcharging customers. BOGO is so appealing that it's hard for consumers to see it for what it is.
Buy one, get one. It's a thinly veiled attempt to convince a customer to buy more than one item at a time.
For a thrifty shopper, BOGO can sound like the best way to get more bang for their buck. But often, it's simply not as good a deal as it appears.
Damn, okay.
Consumers perceive the quality of a bargain based on the price they pay compared to the original list price. Take this
Amazon is guilty of this for a
food
lot.
processor on Amazon, for example. The price on sale is $35, an amazing 52% off the $75 list price. The problem is that Cuisinart doesn't list the item for Amazon's regular price. And based on an analysis of tracked prices over time, Amazon has never sold it for more than $40 in the past 10 years.
The cheating that goes on is rampant. Retailers are guilty often of distorting the regular price, raising the regular price.
And several companies have been caught distorting prices in conjunction with BOGO offers.
The suit accused VisionWorks of inflating the price of the first pair of glasses to partly cover the cost of the second supposedly free pair, making it not actually free.
It can be hard for consumers to tell whether BOGO is fair or deceptive, and often their judgment is clouded by one 4-letter word: free.
I mean, free is a tremendous motivational trigger, and they like the opportunity to expand the deal by buying more than one of an item. Very often, consumers don't do the math.
Buying more than one item means consumers spend more money than they intended, not less. For example, say you want to buy a sweater that's normally $80. Sweater A is listed at a 20% discount. Sweater B is listed at full price, but has a buy one get one free deal. While the second option may get you 2 sweaters, you've just spent more in total than if you just focused on the 20% discount. Let's say those sweaters are on a buy one get one 50% off deal. Option 1, you buy one sweater for $80. Option 2, the first sweater would be $80 and the second would be half off. Translated into a straight discount, the total saved from the BOGO deal would be the same as a 25% off deal. But the amount of money you spend in store has grown because you bought 2 items. Some BOGO deals only apply to items with lesser value.
This is also good for like because of their profit margins, right?
For example, if you buy that same sweater and a $10 pair of socks, you still pay $80 for your total purchase. If you decide to get a sweater and a $150 coat, the sweater would be counted as the free item and you'd still be shelling out $150. For most deals, you're better off waiting for the one item you wanted to go on sale rather than purchasing it through a BOGO deal.
Customers, I won't say fall for it, but they go for it nonetheless.
BOGO disguises the fact
BOGO
that
means
unless you
buy
already
one, get
intended
one.
to buy 2 items, it really isn't all that big of a discount. So BOGO deals can be fantastic if you're a shopper looking to buy in bulk and stretch your dollar, but for most of us, free isn't always the best option.
Well, just do the math. If it looks too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Do I buy designer only? Dude, I don't buy designer at all. Who the fuck buys designer?